everyone! Today I'm going to make a video about what I learned from some of the stamps from my Around the World Stamps grab bag that I got. The three stamps that I have chosen are from Czechoslovakia, and Czechoslovakia is actually technically a dead country now, meaning that it doesn't exist anymore. So in 1993, Czechoslovakia peacefully split into the two countries which are now the Czech Republic and Slovakia. These three stamps are part of a set of 14 definitives on folk architecture issued between 1971 and 1972. All of these stamps feature traditional architectural buildings but drawn in a contemporary design style by the graphic artist Jaroslav Lukovsky. The art is what drew me to these stamps. The designs are simple yet detailed, colorful, and juxtapose traditional content with modern art. The first stamp that I'll focus on is the 10 KCs, or 10 Czechoslovak korunas, which means crown. In the lower right corner are the words Slovensko Liptov. Liptov is a region in the northern area of Slovakia, and it's a very popular location for tourists to visit. It's easy to see why, because it's so beautiful. Slovakia has 14 areas designated as folk architecture monument reserves, which feature these characteristic block houses which are made of logs and were previously used as homesteads. While I don't know the exact location that's pictured on this stamp, a few places that it could be from are the Bartholomew Museum Village or the Museum of Liptov Village. One more interesting fact about the Museum of Liptov Village is that most of these houses were actually completely dismantled, moved from their original location, and then rebuilt here in the village to make way for what is now the Liptovska Mara Dam, which is a water reservoir. 9 villages were relocated, as well as 1 railroad before the dam was flooded. The second stamp that I'm going to focus on is the 3.6 koruna 50 holler stamp. So this stamp was actually reissued in 1992 with this new rate of 50 holler. I have no idea why, and if somebody does know, please tell me, because I couldn't find any information on this. 100 holler is equal to 1 koruna, so the reissue of the stamp is actually worth less than the original, but other than that change in the price of the stamp, I can't find anything different. It looks like the exact same image. Anyway, this next stamp actually took me a little bit of research to find the building that's featured on it. The text says Czechy Chrudimsko, which, when I search it, brings up a town called Chrudim. And apparently they have a museum of puppets there. But anyway, the actual building on the stamp is a church from the nearby town of Koci, and it's this church, which is the Church of Saint Bartholomew. This church is so old. It was built in 1397 by Queen Sofia, who was the wife of King Wenceslas IV of Bohemia. There was a lot for me to learn here. I'd heard of the term Bohemian to describe that kind of flowery, kind of artsy, carefree lifestyle, but I didn't realize that there was actually a place that was the Kingdom of Bohemia. But when I did a little bit more research into this topic, I found out that the use of the term Bohemian to describe, and I'm going to quote from the article here, an unconventional vagabond lifestyle of merry poverty, was actually termed by the French to describe the Gypsy or the Romanov people, because they thought that they had traveled to France from Bohemia, but actually they didn't. They traveled from an area of North India instead. So it's actually a misnomer. Bohemians aren't actually from Bohemia. It's kind of like when Christopher Columbus termed the natives as Indians because he thought he was in India. So Bohemians aren't necessarily Bohemian. They're actually Indian. Anyway, the second thing that surprised me was that a queen built this church. Well, obviously she didn't build it herself, but she paid all the money for some other people to build it. And I was just wondering, is this something normal for those times? Like, did the king and queen usually fund all the building of the churches? Or is this church something special? I only found one website, and it was all translated from Czech, so I don't know if the translation was right, but it said something about how Queen Sofia built this church as a thank you for being saved from drowning in a swamp. I couldn't find any other websites or any other sources that talked about this or could verify this, so I don't really know the whole story behind there. The inside of the church has a lot of really old murals and carvings. The outside structures include a wooden Baroque bridge built in the early 1700s because there's actually a moat around the church, and an octagonal bell tower built in 1666 made of shingles that extend all the way to the ground and then end in a pyramid at the top. You've got to watch this YouTube video that I'm going to link below of someone who does a complete walkthrough through the church and highlights all of the really cool sculptures in there, carvings and paintings. The inside of it is really neat. One final interesting thing, there is a small building just south of the church that used to be an old schoolhouse, but it's now the municipal post office. So technically you could go to the church, get this postcard, and then walk to the post office and mail it to yourself with this stamp on it. Except, actually you can't. Dead country, remember? Stamps from Czechoslovakia expired in 1993 after it split into the two countries. Oh well. And finally, I've saved my personal favorite for last, the 20 koruna stamp featuring the town of Cicmany in Slovakia. Wait until you see this town. Look how neat these houses are. 200 years ago, women in the village would paint white lime on the wooden homes to prevent damage from humidity. Originally, lime was just painted around the windows, door frames, and corners, but now the designs are purposefully more decorative rather than functional, and actually inspired by folk embroidery designs. One of these buildings would house 30 people during the time of its use, but actually now some of them are hotels, so you can actually pay and stay in there if you want to get a feel for what life was like in the village in the old times. In 1977, the village of Cicmany was actually designated as the world's first ever architectural reserve. There's a museum in the town, and in the warmer months they actually put on festivals featuring folk dancing and music. These designs also served as inspiration for some of the Slovakia Olympic teamwear in the 2014 Olympics. While looking for information on this town, I really love this video I came across by the travel vlogger Tim Tense. He's a traveler based in Belgium who puts out weekly videos about his explorations. So if you want to get an idea for what it's like in real life with the charm of this town and what it's like on a typical day, watch this video. I'm gonna link that below too. Okay, that's enough information for today. I'm so overwhelmed by how much I learned just from these 3 little pieces of paper. I was thinking to myself, it's actually probably a good thing that I don't own the whole set of 14, otherwise this video would go on for an hour, but maybe I should buy the rest of them. I don't know, what do you think? Did you like this video? If so, leave a comment below. Also, let me know if I got something wrong or if I missed something. I'm really new to stamp collecting and also new to researching, quite frankly, but I'm enjoying myself along the ride, so hopefully you enjoyed it too. Until next time, stay curious. Bye!